Hello everyone, I'm Brian Croy Dragon and welcome to today's Truth or Scare commentary. It is episode Scare Me. As always, curious which documentary was reformatted, and I'd like to go on record I don't remember this one.
Want to see something really scary? The worst fears we can imagine live inside our own minds. They give us cold chills and nightmares. But they can also help us recognize danger and keep out of harm's way. Truth or Scare is going on the most dangerous mission of all, challenging fear itself. Do you have the guts to keep watching? Are you afraid of the dark? Fear is one of the strongest human emotions. Most people would say being afraid is one of the worst feelings there is. But then why do we love horror movies and roller coasters so much? The answers are more complicated and more frightening than you might think. What does fear look like? The dentist's drill? A stormy night? Snakes? Fear gives us all the chills. But while some people will do anything to avoid the things that scare them, others are looking for a little rush and confront their fears for the ultimate thrill. But could fear really be all in our heads? In a way, yes. When we're afraid, our brain sends out signals. Signals that get us ready to fight, run away, and hide. Everyone's brain works like this. There's a good reason that people are born with a fear instinct already in place. Fear can sometimes keep us safe. The best defense against danger is to avoid it in the first place. Right? That's why humans are so good at learning which animals can be deadly and remembering them. We've been practicing this skill for millions of years.
Most of the things that make us afraid are not things that are burned into our brain by evolution, but burned in by our personal experiences.
But sometimes a fear can grow into an uncontrollable force of its own, even if it doesn't make any sense. If it happens to you, you've got a phobia. Afraid of spiders? You're not alone. It's called arachnophobia. And even though most spiders are harmless, it's an extremely common fear.
I shake, I tremble, I've got goosebumps up my arms, and I
Just put
have to get away from it.
right there.
Shirley Faulkner has arachnophobia in the worst way. It started when she was a kid and has kept her in its grip. And ever since then, it's been getting worse and worse.
I am
No
always
occupation,
on edge. I can't just sit there and watch a television
her
program
phobia.
because I'm waiting for one to run across the room. It's silly little things that when you speak to other people, they'd say to you, "Come on, it's only a spider."
Finally, it got so bad that Shirley couldn't take it anymore. It got so bad she was practically a prisoner in her own home, held captive by her phobia.
I got out of bed one morning, I went into the bathroom. There was a gigantic spider in the bath. I mean, really big, and it was black. I didn't feel as I could breathe, and I really panicked. And I thought, no, I can't go on for the rest of my life like this.
What's a desperate arachnophobe to do? Well, Shirley signed up for a class at the London Zoo. This is where lots of people come to get over their fear of spiders. And Robert Farago teaches them how.
Everybody who's phobic knows it's insane. They know it's stupid to be afraid of a little spider. That's insane. But they can't change it on a conscious level. Can you put it on my head?
Even though Shirley has been scared of spiders her entire life, Dr. Farago knows how to help her.
The only time a spider would ever really bite or nip is a better way to put it.
First, an expert explains why there's no reason to be afraid of spiders. The expert is in total control, so the students can see he's not afraid. For some people, this can be enough to help realize there's really nothing to be afraid of. When this method doesn't work, Dr. Farago has a way of reasoning directly with his patient's deepest fear.
1, 2, 3, sleep.
Sometimes Dr. Farago hypnotizes his patients. That way, he can convince them to let go of their anxiety, even if they think they can't.
What I need to do is to get into their subconscious mind. That's the part of their mind that simply reacts. My job is to get in there and switch off the program.
You never needed this fear, you never wanted it, and you don't have to have it. Welcome back.
Does the hypnosis work? Seeing is believing.
Lift that up. Let it go. What do you think? Very soft?
Yes.
This is beautiful.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Just like that, fear becomes, well, not love, but tolerance. Shirley conquered her greatest fear, but the world is filled with phobias. Anyone afraid of thunder and lightning? Frank is. His phobia is so bad, he came to the Georgia Institute of Technology, desperate for a cure. Dr. Barbara Rothbaum uses a computer simulation of a storm. This is a safe way for Frank to face down his phobia.
You ready for it to start raining harder?
Yes.
Good.
With the virtual reality goggles, Frank can learn to take control of his emotions. So the next time the weather turns nasty for real, Frank will be able to deal with it. Everyone loves a good movie, but some audiences demand a little something extra. Demons from another world, psychotic maniacs who stalk the night. If you're into scary movies, the more blood-curdling, the better.
We go ready, everybody? Let's roll camera. Action!
John Carpenter directed some of the scariest movies out there, like Halloween, The Thing, and Vampires. He learned how to scare an audience from another great director, Alfred Hitchcock.
He talks about suspense versus shock. And he talks about the bomb under the table. So there's a bomb under this table, and you and I are having a conversation. And all of a sudden,
Boom! You just can't help it. When you see that explosion, it's like a shock to your whole system. But that's not the only terrifying trick John knows.
well, the other way to shoot the scene is to show the bomb while we're talking and keep cutting to the bomb so that our conversation becomes anxiety and a tool of anxiety for the audience. They say, stop talking and get out of the room. That's effective.
Highly effective. And these techniques are used in other kinds of entertainment as well. Computer games like Quake are filled with danger and suspense. It's what makes them fun. Play one of these games, and suddenly you're running for your life, trying to obliterate your enemies before they obliterate you. Even though you know you're never going to meet one of these monsters in real life, the fantasy is pretty convincing. Fans of these thrilling video games can thank people like Brandon James. He's one of the game designers who scares kids to death for a living.
You have the nightmares, and we put them into the game, and I think it is very instinctive.
Of course, there's no chance of actually getting hurt, but that doesn't matter. Players feel the fear, just like the audience in a movie theater, probably even more.
I think that that's basically our number one priority. It's what drives the player. It's what keeps the player going. You know, just to have the constant threat around every corner.
The brain's fear center doesn't discriminate. Ask any gamer. They'll tell you it's only a fantasy, but the fear and excitement they feel is the real deal.
Now you're mine.
Scared of heights? So are these guys. So why are they doing this? Next on Truth or Scare. Why would anyone choose to be scared? 'Cause it's fun, that's why. Just ask anyone into those extreme roller coasters. You know, the ones that take you right to the edge and then plunge you down
I don't like
with an
those roller
overpowering
coasters.
rush of mind-numbing terror. Welcome to Oblivion, the world's first vertical drop roller coaster. That's drop, as in straight down. First, you go up, 100 feet up, and then you jet back to Earth at a heart-stopping 70 miles an hour. If your trip is scarifying thrills, Oblivion is the ultimate ride. What is it about roller coasters that gets so many sane people to go temporarily nuts? Dr. Glenn Wilson thinks he knows.
One of the things a lot of people get out of riding on a roller coaster is to put their worries and anxieties into perspective. After you've traumatized yourself on one of these, life's little hassles seem much less important.
For some people,
Okay,
amusement park rides are just a warm-up.
Canada's Wonderland.
Because
Canada's
nothing beats
Paramount
free falling
Wonderland.
for
There is
hundreds of feet, with only a giant rubber band to
a
stop.
roller coaster inside the Paramount Mountain. I can do
never been
that.
so scared my whole
The
life,
ones
and I don't
outside of
think
it,
I'm ever gonna
I'm
be
not
so
so
scared again.
sure of. I tried one, my heart was pounding afterwards.
Natalie Erb is about to bungee jump, and she is terrified. But she just can't resist the challenge to take the plunge.
I'm gonna call all my friends now and my family and say I did it. I did it. It was brilliant. Now I know how far I can actually go, how far I can push myself.
For Natalie, taking the dive off the very, very high board was a way of testing her own fears and overcoming them. But Glenn Singelman takes jumping to an even higher level.
It's an incredibly motivating thing to be scared. It really forces you to confront not only your environment, but who you are and what you're doing there.
When he's on the ground, Glenn is a medical doctor. His patients depend on him to stay cool in any emergency, so he's a master at controlling his emotions. But when work's over, this is how Glenn loosens up. Glenn and his friend Nick start the day with a little hike up Trango Tower in Pakistan, 19,000 feet up. It's the biggest cliff in the world, so of course, they're going to jump off it. If they survive, they'll break the world record for longest freefall. That's a mighty big if, when you're flying back to Earth at 125 miles an hour. But Glenn wouldn't have it any other way.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. One down, two down.
Only by risking going too far can you know how far you can go. The way to learn the value of life is to put it at risk.
Science of Fear counts down to the most dangerous missions on or off the planet.
The Eagle has landed.
For most of us, our natural fears tell us to avoid real danger. It's called the survival instinct, and it comes in very handy if you want to stay alive. But some people's brains are wired a little differently. Every day they face serious danger in their jobs, even risking their lives. And a job doesn't get any more dangerous than an astronaut's. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first humans to walk on the moon. But to get there, they had to take one of the scariest rides of all time. They almost ran out of gas before they could land. They made it with just 20 seconds to spare.
Contact light. Okay, engine stop. We copy you down, Eagle. The Eagle has landed.
History was made that day, but tragically, not all space missions go so smoothly. Even though they know the dangers, astronauts somehow face their fears. Thanks to them, the rest of us get to take the amazing trip to outer space without ever leaving home.
All right, as soon as we impact, what are you going to do? Reference point. Reference point, okay. Your best way? Here, crossed, out to the door. All right, down your goggles. Ready, gentlemen? Brace for impact.
Fear can inspire us to take chances. The key is staying in control. In a scary situation, it can mean the difference between life and death. That's what they teach at the U.S. Navy's Aviation Survival Training Center. Flight crews here practice keeping their cool no matter what, even in the middle of a crash landing.
Panic is the number one factor in determining survivability, if the crash itself is survivable.
Panic, and you won't survive. To prepare them for the worst, the students are strapped into a huge tank and then dropped into a training pool. What, that doesn't sound scary? Try it with just 60 seconds of air.
All of our helicopter aircrew and pilots carry a miniature scuba bottle, and it's got approximately a minute and a half of air available to them.
If any of the pilots freak out, this exercise could end in disaster. But it's worth the danger. This is the best way to prepare the trainees for a real crash in the ocean. Before they went on these training exercises, only about 10% of the aircrew survived helicopter crashes in the water. Now that they're learning how to overcome their fear of drowning, the survival rate is over 80%. Fear can make us do weird, crazy, and sometimes amazing things. We're just starting to figure out the connection between people and their deepest, darkest emotions. Do you think we can ever completely get over our fears? Maybe not. But people have proven you can conquer certain types of fear by taking control of a scary situation. Scientists are constantly learning more about how our brains work. So maybe one day, we'll finally figure out why some people are afraid of the dark. And other people just can't get enough of it. The only question is, which one are you?
I don't know. I don't play that many horror games. Of course, I got Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion. So I suppose, we'll be just seeing if it scares me. Eventually. I'm Brian Croy Dragon signing out. Stay Shrey.